What's it like to hold the hand of someone you love?
Interlinked.
Do they teach you how to feel finger to finger?
Interlinked.
Do you long for having your heart interlinked?
Interlinked.
Do you dream about being interlinked?
Interlinked.
I sometimes think interlinked.
Interlinked. Okay.
We're here in beautiful Santa Clarita, California, where there's some sort of landfill sort of thing going on, and so all of a sudden we are living Blade Runner 2049, which is good because I'm here with Brandon Allinger of Propstore to talk about the Blade Runner 2049 auction. It's going to be on the 20th of February. It ends.
Yes.
It's a staggered ending, and how does that work? If you bid, then there's more extended times?
Yeah, that's right. It's basically what you would call anti-sniping, so that someone doesn't come in at the end and just get the one bid in that wins the lot.
Right.
Any bid that's placed, I think, within the last 5 minutes of the auction will extend the clock by 5 more minutes, allowing you to get a little email notice that you've been outbid and think for a second about whether you want to bid again, and then bid or
Gotcha.
don't.
So
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about that sort of like being there right at the last second, so to speak.
Correct. Yeah. I will say, just from observing it and from what people tell me, the trick is kind of when you're tracking 3 or 4 lots at once, especially if they're in
because
succession.
as they start to move around,
Right,
they
exactly.
switch order.
Yeah.
So something to think about to our bidders.
I think the
at home.
recommendation is open multiple windows. So it's kind of like I have lot
There you
12
go.
in one window and I have lot 14 in another window.
If you want to bid, you
Jump
got to
out.
buy multiple computers. That's really the key.
If you want to be safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got some incredible pieces we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at some of our favorite highlights from it. And I am going to try and answer the question during this video as to whether Brandon Allinger is or is not a replicant. So stick around for that.
Much debated topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of different ideas about that. Is he? Isn't he? Also, you can watch this video with and without narration because we have it with the original narration, but now this is the director's cut.
Yeah.
There's no
Got
narration.
some studio notes.
We'll start with one of my absolute favorite pieces in the entire thing, which is Kay's jacket. Now, you've got 4 of them in this auction, and they kind of run through various states of disrepair, from kind of new to not so new. This one is kind of in the sort of back quarter of the movie,
Yeah.
and it's gorgeous. What I love about it, this piece of it is it's got a lot of wear. You can see here, look at this. What is that, stage blood in there? Look at that. This is kind of like almost like a we were saying, like a barber jacket, like one of those like a wax cotton, but it's not waxed. And it's kind of interesting because this seems very high tech, but at the same time the collar is very, I don't know, like 1920s, 1930s, giving you that kind of Blade Runner feel, which I really dig. And it's a complete costume, as I think all the 4 costumes are complete.
They are,
yeah.
that's right,
Which
yeah.
means you're getting the gloves, the boots, you're getting the undershirts and whatnot. And check out this too. What do we got here? Like almost like a bullet hole kind of a thing?
Yeah, I think he gets like a piece of rebar in the stomach.
Oh, that's right. When they crash land or something.
In,
Yes.
In Deckard's apartment,
Yes.
there's like an explosion that goes off, and that's where he takes the wound.
Oh,
I
is that
think
where the wound is? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then later he also gets shot by Love when they're kind of having that battle in the water.
In the water,
spinner.
yes.
But I'm pretty sure this
This is the earlier one.
specifically
Gotcha.
earlier.
So
Yeah.
you've got that there, which is kind of gorgeous. You got the undershirt under there. Just really beautiful work. And we're going to loop around for 1 second. Is there anything else you want to point out about this that you like about it?
For me, like one thing that stands out about this one is these scenes he's playing with Harrison Ford, as opposed to the other scenes
Sure.
where maybe he's just by himself. So I feel like that's particularly
Well,
cool.
you were talking about like if you're bidding on multiple items, and I think one of the things to figure out if you're interested in a jacket, there are 4 choices, and how
Right.
you rank
Yeah.
what is the most important. I love this one not just because of the Harrison Ford, but I loved the level of usage that was
Yeah.
on this, in the sense of it is beaten up, but not as much as the most beaten up, which we'll see,
Yeah.
but also not the sort of brand new look. And I like them all, but this one,
Yeah.
along with the Harrison Ford, I thought was the sweet spot of usage.
Another thing that's
Yeah.
cool is like it's got the blood on it now, but he wears it in those apartment scenes before it's all bloody. So it was sort of used as a clean
Gotcha.
jacket and then distressed down and
fascinating.
worn as dirty.
And do these jackets specifically screen match?
Yeah, they do. And you know, the thing that is a big tell is a number of different things, but the main thing is just how these collars come together, right? Because this is taped or stitched down. You can see some remnants of like stitching there. So the idea in the movie is that the collar can fold up. We'll show you the one with the
Right.
neck up in a second. But in actuality, most of them are kind of stitched or taped in place so that they hold their position. So for example, like you see this bump, that's a real giveaway.
So that
on this
matches.
one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then you'd go in and you'd see other things of like, oh, how's this coming together, or
Right.
whatever all the little tells are.
Beautiful. I mean, handmade. Just gorgeously done. This is not an off-the-rack jacket
Right.
in any way, shape, or form. And I do just love, there's sort of a military kind of aspect to it also. It has a lot of thought behind it, but also just a lot of beautiful craftsmanship, which
Yeah.
I think is just really,
The
really
weathering,
beautiful.
the sort of dirt that's in it is great, and it kind of is evocative of the Harrison Ford one from the original
Oh, yeah,
film.
and I think that's true. I mean, I think one of the things that 2049 does well is it is not it's not one giant jug of blue milk. It's not an Easter egg, but it suggests the original film. It is an evolution from the original film without necessarily being kind of like just desperate and gross and thirsty, as they would say.
And I would
the
also
kids say thirsty. Yeah.
It seems like it was accepted by that fandom more than maybe some other major
Yeah,
franchises with
I
their,
kind of agree.
their long sequels.
Yeah,
if that
I
makes
kind of
sense.
agree. Let's peek at a couple of the other jackets just to see the difference. Here, you can just kind of jump back around here. So this is sort of jacket number one, which is from the very beginning of the film. This is sort of how you see him at the very beginning of the movie, which was a very cool silhouette. So obviously, first of all, there's still usage on it. There's still weathering and whatnot, but obviously we're not getting the blood. We're not getting the the holes and whatnot. This has the collar up, as we discussed, and at some point, probably later in the sequence, it was taped down. But this is the up version.
Yeah, you can see the old wardrobe tape that's on it, and you can match a number of different things on this to when he first wears it. Obviously, it doesn't have
Right.
the tape then. It's
Because
totally
that was
clean.
for the inside
Yeah.
scenes. Yes.
Yeah. But later, at some point, they
right.
taped it down. So,
Yeah.
one of the reasons I love this particular one, I think this is a really cool look. Just the collar up is
I'm
totally
with
cool.
you. I am with
B,
you. Yeah.
it's on that poster.
Yes.
So this is literally that jacket.
Yeah.
And we can go in on some of the production stills that are closer shots than this, and you can screen match little details, and you can know it's like this is from when they were doing this specific shoot. This is basically the collar up jacket. I think anytime you see a collar up, it's this one.
And again, going back to the original Blade Runner, the classic, if you will, noir detective trench coat. This is sort of an updated version, which again, I really kind of dig.
Yeah.
And then when we jump over, this is the final version. This
Yeah.
is sort of, we're calling version 4, if you will. This is the most distressed because he's at this point, he's fought everybody, he's been in the ocean,
Right.
everything has
all
gone
the
on.
salt
Yeah,
from the
that's the
seawater.
salt from the seawater, from the seawall, I think they call it, or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. So I just love just how beat up, and look at this, sorry, look at the blood there. I
Yeah,
mean,
this
he's
is
been
coated.
through
Yeah.
the ringer at this
Yeah.
point, which I just love. But let's show that stitch. So on this one, sorry, they actually have put a stitch in to lock this collar in right there. So even though this is this collar, they have stitched it down. And again, we're getting into the specifics of why different ones match. And then come back over here a second. This one isn't stitched, but this one has sort of almost like, it's like tape, maybe it's even glued down there,
Yeah.
but again, locked in, which is kind of interesting in the differences of the three. And again, I think it's to taste. Each one kind of plays differently in a really just kind of interesting and cool way.
I mean, this is like the easiest screen match.
Right.
So if you want a screen match one, the one with all the salt water staining on it, that's the one that's really obvious. This one also was kind of stored like this in the costume bag because it's so heavily bloodied, whereas a few of the other ones, the pants and the sweaters may not have been used
Right.
with them exactly, even though the coats match.
But this
was
one,
probably
because
worn
everything
as a
was
set.
kind of, yes, that makes
But
sense.
you can see what the stage blood does to it. It really kind of
Rigids it,
Yeah,
right? It kind of,
totally.
yeah, it's like
it's like
it
a board
feels,
there.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you can knock on it a
Right,
little bit.
yeah.
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 which is kind of wild. Yeah.
And I think it even had to be kind of pulled apart just to get it out of the
Right.
wardrobe bag and dressed. But
Really?
it looks great.
Oh,
and it's,
my gosh.
And I love the specifics and just how specific you can
Right.
be about what it is.
I have to say, and I do love, I'm staring at them all. I love the usage one. I'm starting to get more excited about
collar up
the
is
collar
cool.
up.
It's a-
yeah,
it's a good look.
I just love, I love that poster. I do love
Yeah.
that look.
Yeah.
So there's something,
And you
about
can
that.
still undo it and fold
Right.
it down. So if you decide you want to display it like this 6 months out of the year.
Let's check out a couple more things. For complete page-by-page coverage of the Blade Runner 2049 catalog from Propstore, tune in Wednesday for an all-new episode of The Stuff Dreams Are Made Of.